Okay, so 23,000 Somalis flood Maine. Locals sound alarm as Trump vows to end invasion. Look, guys, we have to realize that it only takes about 3% of the population to cause a revolution. That means you're really, I mean, after you do ratios and everything for the 3%, let's just say it comes out to if 10 million men hit the streets of the United States of America, we'd have a revolution. And you guys don't know what a revolution actually is. You guys don't understand the amount of blood, the amount of gore, the amount of crime, the amount of war. And I am out here rhyming because that's how much poetic shit I am spewing about the fact that we cannot afford to go to civil war. So these politicians, like the Democrats, need to do everything that they can to simmer down the tone and not amplify it and throw gasoline and fan the flames as they are doing now. So right now we're going to be reviewing this video: 23,000 Somalis flood Maine. Local sound alarm as Trump vows to end invasion.
The fraud problems in America just got
Tonight,
worse.
News Nation is turning its attention back to Maine, where
Okay.
locals are blowing the whistle on businesses that look, well, let's use the word questionable. The accusations revolve around alleged shell home health care companies that collect overpayments from the government. An audit found
Where
one
have
such
we heard
business,
this before?
Gateway Community Services, was overpaid by
Yeah, so Trump's been tweeting all over Twitter about the Somalian daycare stealing a bunch of money and that only being the tip of the iceberg onto the fraud and how it actually runs much deeper. But, you know, this is no new information. This is running across every single politician's desk, and they are all swiping the pen on those pieces of paper to get money into their bank accounts. Multiple politicians have tens of millions of dollars in their bank accounts, and it didn't just appear there from them doing construction work. It appeared there through fraud, scamming their own civilians.
more than $1 million.
Wow.
Now authorities want to know what's been going on.
We're here in Portland, Maine. We found of the businesses that are registered in here, of the 20-something businesses, 10.
And guys, this is complete human nature to be defrauding, and it's never going to change. You have to understand, if you go to any other country around the entire globe, they are doing much worse than defrauding their civilians. They are doing much worse in terms of punishing their civilians for crimes. They are much more brutal than you could ever fathom. So a simple printing of a machine to a bank account is absolutely nothing compared to the amount of raw, brutal harm that these other governments do to their population.
Of them are home health care
Wow.
businesses. As you can
What
see,
are the odds?
Prestige Home Care, Bright Star Home
This
Care,
is the same
Atlantic Community
scam.
Support, 5 Stars Home Health Care, Prime Home Care, LLC.
Signs are falling
It's a trend
off.
we saw in Minnesota, one that the Minnesota House Oversight Committee on Fraud tells News Nation is a giant red flag. Large clusters of healthcare providers in one location.
This building.
You know, I actually find it fairly shocking that so many people find this information to be shocking. Alone, the scandals, the scams, this is absolutely nothing to what actually goes on in 90%, 99% of the countries. If you've ever been or seen videos online of war, of punishment, rituals, all types of things, how the cartels operate in other countries, it is absolutely nothing. I'm pretty much desensitized to seeing any of this garbage. I understand that it's a large fraud, but I never put it past the governors or senators or mayors, any politician in general to do this.
Right behind me has 22 different home and community-based healthcare companies registered in the building.
What are they all doing
Inside
there?
this Portland office building, owner Ron Nevins agreed to speak with us.
I think I got 10
Ron.
healthcare companies, which is probably about half, maybe a little less than half of this building.
Wow.
Healthcare,
Look at this.
home healthcare. I didn't
The
even know
lights
what
And the
Don't even
people
worry.
that are saying there is no scam or fraud going on, there is 100% scam and fraud going on. You are simply naive to the way that the world actually operates, and you need to actually do some research onto other countries and how their governments govern, as well as even the cartels and how they govern over in Mexico. They will literally take a guy, step on his back, take a knife, absolutely skin the front of his head, pull the heart out of his chest while it's still beating. Guys, it's doing a little bit of scamming and frauding for a government with a military that conducts operations similar to the cartels, not as quite brutal. It's not like a war crime. It's not torture. But our government does hold executable actions across other humans.
Do you think these
So
businesses
to
are
think that
actually
they
legit
wouldn't print
businesses?
themselves a little bit of money, you're
Yes,
insane.
but some I highly question.
Wow.
Nobody's ever here, and if it was 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but when there's 10, I've had as many as 12 or 13 probably before.
You know, the landlords in America renting these places out, they're the ones that could blow the lid off this whole thing.
I took the sign out the door because I'm trying to rent the office.
A state audit found that 5-star home health care overbilled Maine's Medicaid by nearly $400,000, according to documents obtained by the Maine Wire. They failed to provide documentation to substantiate hundreds of thousands of dollars in Medicaid benefits paid out for home-based health care, and then the owner just abandoned the office.
I can't even reach him in 6 months. No return calls, no return texts, nothing.
There's been no consequences.
Yeah, he's gone. Left the country,
no investigation, no resolution to what happened with 5 Stars Home Health Care.
How long is this video?
And that, I think, is
18 minutes.
That's a story
We're gonna.
that we see
I kind of want to skip into it because we're talking about a lot of
for quite a long time here
boring
in Maine.
shit. No, I don't want to say boring. This is very important. These numbers are very important to locate the fraud. However, we have to understand that this fraud is only being publicized because there is a political war going on. The same way that the Democrats tried to get Trump on federal or criminal charges, it's the same way that Trump is now reversing that card onto Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Do you think this issue is
And the mayor. I mean, they're pretty much going to be hitting the blue states because fraud is nothing new to any of these politicians. All of these politicians are doing fraud.
Millions of dollars easily. It's, you look at just where we're standing right now, there are probably a dozen home health care agencies registered here. We can see
it's a national scam at this point. It's happening everywhere. And the crazy thing is, there's no easy solution to this.
The crazy thing is, it's been happening for decades, and there is a solution to it.
Infrastructure of America now, these scams.
a dozen.
There is a solution to it, but the solution does not want to be done.
Home health care agencies registered here. We can see Ladna Home Health Care down there. That's a $2 million home health care agency. You can see it's located right next to 2 money.
The solution is simple.
offices.
Don't do it. Don't allow
right
people to
next
do it.
You have Dahab Shield. The Dahab Shield is the official money wiring service of the Central Bank of Somalia.
You can't make this stuff up. This is wild. What are the coincidences? You got these fake companies next to a place where money can quickly be sent out of the country. That is so wild. There needs to be a national crackdown.
He has a point.
What's going on behind the scenes,
Does it bother you?
Well, it ticks me off if they're screwing the state of Maine, and because that's my tax money, You add up what's going on all over the state of Maine.
Guys, you have to understand the politicians don't look at it like they're screwing you guys over. The politicians are looking at it like they're robbing a candy store, that they're just taking money that otherwise you wouldn't have ever seen the light of day. And when they go out and they steal $10 million, that's like 0.0001%. No, sorry, 0.0000001% of the actual money being printed. So it's very easy for them to moralize it, justify it, if it means making their own life better, because essentially all they're doing is adding 10 million into their account that they're going to spend however they feel necessary to make their life better. But it doesn't really actually affect the American taxpayers as much as you would think.
It's probably
at least that's what they like to say to themselves. I'm not actually agreeing with that, but I'm saying that's how they justify it in their own brain.
Of dollars of fraud and abuse.
That's
crazy.
Crazy.
And some of them, that's how the good ones justify it. The bad ones from the jump that just don't give a fuck, which are the majority, just justify instantly, like, oh, it's going to make my life better. No one's going to find out about it. Everyone's doing it. It's a no-brainer.
We asked Department of Health and Human Services if they are investigating that 5 Stars Home Health Care. They did not respond to our request. Now, Ron Nevins, he's the building
My dog
owner,
is just walking around.
He says he
kind
realizes
of being
he
a
may lose
distraction.
tenants by speaking out about this, but taxpayer dollars and right versus wrong is more important.
Making
to
a
him.
little bit of
Elizabeth?
background noise.
Guy
Sorry
did the
about that.
right thing. But here's the real problem. The thing we're learning about all of this fraud is that the government is paying for it. The government is supposed to investigate it, and they have no ability to do it.
Yeah, see, this is a very sweet and naive mindset that this guy has to think that the government is on his side. No, the government is a large mafia. If you look at any country, it's people with guns that solve problems with guns. And if you have a problem with the people with guns, you must address them with guns. And then you become the people with guns. That's what a revolution is. So these people aren't here to revolutionize their own regime. Sorry, my dog has a water bottle.
This is why these programs shouldn't exist in the first place. Or if they do, they should exist in a privately funded capacity. Then nobody's getting robbed.
Going on in Maine, too, and residents there are demanding answers. Some members of the community, in fact, calling on the DOJ to investigate possible fraud within the Lewiston Shooting Fund, as we learn that nearly $2 million went to 29 different nonprofits since the October 2023 shooting. That money was supposed to go directly to them.
Wow.
And get this, some of those nonprofits only serve the immigrant community, like Gateway.
Guys, we also have to realize that the way these politicians actually get their money, it's never just like, oh, they literally stole it out of thin air. There's always going to be an extremely fake paper trail associated with it. Oh, it goes to, these people to get this job done, and then these people eat from this burrito place, and then that burrito place pays the politician or some shit. There's a paper trail that is embedded to give the kickbacks to the politicians.
Services. Now, you should know, prior to this, Gateway was accused of misusing Medicaid funds and was recently visited by Homeland Security investigators.
How come we keep giving the same company's money?
Director Abdullah Ali seems to have ambitions outside of the U.S. I couldn't believe this when I read it. Listen closely.
This is a big reason for why the government probably doesn't want Americans to be allocating their own tax dollars and choosing what programs the money actually goes to, because that would incentivize Americans to actually research the programs and see for themselves what's going on. But if they keep the tax dollars being allocated however the government sees fit, then they're able to get away with these frauds a lot more easy than, say, every node of a civilian making sure that there are checks and balances for where these tax dollars are going.
Okay.
While serving in his role in Maine, Ali was also running for president of Jubaland in Africa, where he boasted to a Kenyan media outlet that he helped raise funds for the Jubaland Somali army.
What?
Were any of those your taxpayer dollars?
Maine is rampant.
Wow.
With fraud.
Maine.
President Trump was right.
Still can't believe it.
The nonprofit scandals. The Lewiston shooting.
Now, the only reason we're seeing this is because it's politicians attacking politicians, but this is getting very scary because when you have politicians attacking other politicians over money, what you're going to see is, and especially when you're bringing about criminal indictments, is you're going to see violence. You're going to see politicians act in a violent manner towards other politicians.
That happened was Maine's greatest tragedy. But this scandal of the nonprofits taking $1.9 million worth of that
this
money,
looks like a prelude to a civil war. It really
visited
does.
Every organization that you put up on the screen and said, just tell me what you did with the money. I'm not here to question why you got the money, which is...
If the people running these schemes are the industrialized fraudsters we're learning about, they're probably not around anymore. That one landlord in Maine, he said that he had a tenant in there and the person just vanished. Can't even find him.
But I just want to know what you did with the money. And it's turned into, well, you're a racist for asking, get out of here. How
same thing in Minnesota.
These questions. So, the cover-up is just as bad as the crime is.
They guilt you into...
And David
She is staring like a Barbie doll, isn't she? Just blank-faced, a little bit of mouth gap,
to ask the DOJ and Pam Bondi
makeup looking very nice, Barbie dolling it.
Amy Sussman, who is a truly...
The problem here is there are so many of these schemes. The schemes are out of control to the point where the government's not going to be able to catch them all in a timely manner. And there's one political party we all know
the government doesn't want to catch them. I mean, look, we all know that. There's not been one door getting kicked in about these fraud schemes.
Is benefiting from all of this.
Look at what they're doing with ICE. They could easily be doing an FBI investigation on these politicians, but they choose not to. Because, one, if you start locking up all of the politicians in unison, especially if they're just blue, you're going to cause a civil outcry. And again, all it takes is 3% of the population to hit the streets. So if you have 10 million men hit the streets, you're going to have a revolution with guns.
To Governor Janet Mills, as have I multiple times.
But then the only way to solve that is more guns, and we don't want that in the United States of America.
Talk about this subject. She literally runs and tries to avoid me from this former governor, Paul LePage, who is also now running for Congress, reached out to the governor and said, hey, let's work together on this. Governor Mills rejected that offer with her. This is a huge cover-up, and it's taking from Lewiston strong, it's now becoming Lewiston heartbreak.
The sad part about all of this is time is the ultimate cover-up, because the longer it goes on, which they can just not kick in any doors, they cannot investigate anybody, they cannot put anybody behind bars for these fraud schemes. The longer it goes on, the more people forget. So it's like time is the ultimate cleanser for these people. So all they have to do is not do anything at all, and they'll win.
All because of this.
But now it looks like ICE is already rolling into town, and the sanctuary mobs are here to stop them
Maine,
from
where
cracking
ICE
down
actions are
on
ramping
criminals.
up there. It's dubbed Operation Catch of the Day.
Wow.
Already about 50 people taken into custody. All of this comes on the heels of Maine's fraud investigations that mirror what is happening.
People that are against ICE, I would genuinely ask you to go and research how the cartel handles their operations in their country. Look at the brutality of what they do and then compare it to the U.S. And then all of a sudden you'll realize how nice the U.S. federal agents are.
In Minnesota, both states seeing an increase
How nice
in
ICE
rates
is.
on the
Nice
heels
ICE.
of investigations into misused funds.
It's crazy.
They've arrested 50 so far.
50
and they're
people.
targeting 1,400. They say they have warrants for it. The issue that these protesters here have is they say these aren't real warrants.
That's what they say every
ICE
time.
says they've made 50 arrests. Some of the arrests yesterday, Dominic Ali, a criminal alien from Sudan, convicted for false imprisonment, aggravated assault, obstructing justice, and
What a nice
violation
guy.
of a protective order. Another is Ambressa Berhi.
So how do you really get a warrant for illegal immigrants? Because they wouldn't really be documented into the system in the first place, would they?
Ooh.
So residents throughout
unless they were like a catch and release illegal immigrant, they wouldn't be in the system at all to even be able to go and get a warrant for them. Therefore, the only way to actually get the illegal immigrants would be to ask people fitting a profile for papers, which can seem very racist, which I understand, but what other way can you do? And I'm not even saying just people of profile. You could literally put checkpoints in place to where it doesn't include any type of discrimination whatsoever, like a toll booth on a highway.
Oh, look, they got the signs.
Yesterday in Lewiston, we saw a group demanding that ICE get out of Maine. The mayor of Lewiston, Carl Shaleen, posting on Facebook, "Fascism is at the door. ICE's terror and intimidation tactics have no place in our American democracy."
I would argue if money is power, then fascism, the fact that all of these politicians are just printing money to themselves and controlling their own campaigns for the population to vote on them, then we already have fascism in the U.S. It's just in a different manner, right? It's money is power, and it's who can print the most dollars and fraud to themselves can control the campaigns. For example, like all of these Somalian dollars supposedly went to the Kamala Harris campaign, and then she got $1 billion, did like 3 podcasts and fucked off all the money, and then lost the election, and then bought a $10 million house. Right? So.
And scammers and people who defraud our country by coming into it illegally, the American democracy is being destroyed. It's being defrauded from coast to coast now. And these people that are out there protesting the federal government at every turn, they don't understand. They're sticking up for the thing that is robbing all of us. Oh, the governor. Let's hear from her.
To the federal government, I say this. If your plan is to come here to be provocative and to undermine the civil rights of Maine residents, do not be confused.
Are you kidding me?
Those tactics are not welcome here.
She's just like Tim Walz.
Secretary of State here,
Yeah, I mean, look, every time you get a leader that's above the IQ bell curve, they're just going to say what they need to say in order to get the people to be on their side. That way they can defraud the people more. And that's exactly like the type of energy and vibe that I get from that lady. I don't think she's seriously for the people. I mean, she seems like she is the type of woman that is serious. I don't want to know. You know what? I take it back. I don't want to mess with powerful people. I'm not in the position to mess with powerful people. I'm not going to give my opinion or my full statement, so I'm retracting everything. Fuck
posted
it.
on X. What ICE is doing now in Maine is unconscionable. They are here to stoke fears, play political games, and try to destroy the Maine spirit. A city councilor here in Portland took it one step further.
Oh, yeah?
But because of, an agenda of white nationalism and might makes right.
There it is. We're hearing everything we heard in Minnesota when that fraud scandal was
White
first uncovered. What
nationalism.
was the first thing we heard? We heard there's no illegal immigration here. There's no fraud here. Tim Walz knows about it. He's already dealt with it. He's already sent scammers to jail. If ICE and the federal government want to come here, they're going to find nothing. These people are telling us all the same things. And what did we learn in Minnesota? We learned that pretty much every local politician was on the take somehow with these scammers. They were throwing fundraisers in the scammers' fake restaurants. I wonder what we're going to find here.
I like this guy. Who's this guy? What's this guy? I'm going to subscribe to him. Cash Jordan, you got a subscription. I like the fact that this guy, you know, he's going out of his way to make the points in a fashion that's kind of giving you a description of what's going on.
A war on our streets. So, you know, what I would
But whose fault is
I
that?
don't expect much from Senator Collins, from the administration, but I'd ask that the Democrats, who are supposed to have our backs, go a little bit of the spine.
The Democrats.
And do what a random mother in any of our neighborhoods is willing to do, and take action to abolish ICE.
Abolish ICE. They want to abolish
there is
ICE
support
now.
here from officials, though. Democratic Congressman Jared Golden in a statement.
Yeah, so they're just doing everything in their power to throw gasoline on the flames, to stoke the flames, anything that they can do in order to get the cameras off of the fraud and onto a protesting movement garbage about ICE. Look, every president, Democratic or Republican, has pushed for ICE and pushed for deportations because a country is not a country without a border.
To the Maine
And if you go and you actually research other countries, you'll get real fear about what could possibly happen to your country if it falls.
saying ICE activity serves the public interest if criminals are targeted. And the mayor of Portland here challenged the need for a, quote, paramilitary approach, but advised residents let ICE do their job.
I will remind the public, allow officers to do their work, do not obstruct. The best thing you can do is to be the best possible witness should the facts that come before you are needed by any future.
Seeing how dumb people are, how low IQ they are, how much they're willing to go out and throw themselves onto the front line when they are facing complete illogical conclusions. It's outstanding to me that people will literally go onto the front lines for a movement that doesn't even make sense. A country without borders is not a country. You're going onto the front lines to fight your own country because you don't want a country anymore. You're going onto the front lines to fight for people that are in the country illegally. You don't know where these people are coming from, what gangs, what cartels they are coming from. So for you to do that, you're an asshole to not only your community, but your friends, your families, and your own country.
Investigation.
Okay, hopefully we don't have total chaos like we do in Minnesota. This is not what Minnesota's leaders say.
And this is an outrage. This is an insult to every blue-collar Mainer that works hard, that gets up and goes to work in the morning. This is an absolute insult to them.
He's a Republican.
That the Democrats in control of our state let this go on so long. This isn't a new story.
No.
This is something we have known about. This is something that the state itself, the DHHS, has known about through program integrity audits.
It's the same thing
Yeah,
in Minnesota.
I think they failed their audits like
I know
18
I've said that several
times.
times, but all the writing was on the wall before this made the news and went national. The government should have known about it. It's the locals that are in these places that just let the fraud schemes go on. And as we saw in
I said
Minnesota,
it once,
there's
and
only
I
one
hate to keep
political
harping
party
on it,
who was
but
supposed
the
to take
government
action
did
on
know
this and
about it.
never did. It's the party that's in power.
There are over 5,000 entities.
You know, when the smartest man alive, when the man that has the, you know, keys to the rocket companies, keys to the electric car companies, keys to the boring company, when Elon Musk himself gets into the government to clean up the fraud, and then even he says, I cannot believe how bad it is. And I cannot believe how impossible it is, because he himself understood that it would be impossible to spark a revolution in that system. He understood the only thing that would solve that system of fraudsters was a revolution. He would need a revolution to take place, because he wouldn't be able to go into that system and get anything done if every single person that was in the system was against him in some form or another.
Our state, and this is one of the biggest, it's the single biggest part of our state budget. So we are deeply concerned. This is an insult to the working people of Maine who
it is.
Punch the time card, who get up in the morning, who go to work every day, pay some of the highest taxes in the nation, some of the highest electric rates in the nation. And they're now realizing all they had to do was set up a fraudulent daycare. And that was the path to being a millionaire.
And the crazy thing about this is it's not like it was just some Minnesota secret. It's something that works in every deep blue state, every sanctuary out there. Look at this. The federal government is now saying it's a $46 million scam going on here in Maine. This is ridiculous.
You know, and I want to get your reaction, your statement to taxpayers, because Republicans are now demanding investigations.
The only solution,
at the same time.
if people are going to do it, you have to jail them.
It probably does.
The problem is the people that are pushing the jail button are the people that are getting the return on investment from the frauds.
That there wasn't any movement significant enough to make some inroads.
Because people are getting paid. They're getting votes.
Exactly.
Represent as we're now searching for answers.
That's the answer, just like Minnesota.
I want to say to the people of Maine, you need new leadership. We've been under one-party control, the Democrats. They control the House, the Senate, and the governor's office.
Wow.
This fraud goes back years.
It's their fraud.
This is not a new thing. They have just recently stopped paying this organization, but these program integrity audits from the state, from the DHHS, go back years.
Yeah.
And we've been asking, what are you going to do about this?
Nothing.
Are you going to recoup the money? Are you going to stop payments? Are you going to do anything? So meanwhile, these people had fraudulently billed in the millions of dollars. They were still getting paid by the state. So essentially, nothing was being done.
That's crazy.
It begs the question.
We have all the information we need. We're kind of just harping on it at this point.
The answer is so obvious. We all know what the answer is. We know
that's why
that
we're harping on
that
it.
Set up these scams and run these programs that are getting all of this government money. They promise these elected officials that they will go rally the troops when it's an election year or when it's time to get votes or support for something.
The opposite.
And in turn, what are the politicians supposed to do? Set up more programs that help the community.
Well,
right?
but
It's so
I would argue that
it's
it's the
other.
I would argue that the Somalians over here that are immigrants didn't know how to set up the fraud. If you didn't know about the fraud, I'd argue that the average person didn't just stumble upon this. I would argue that the politicians had some type of person that was kind of setting it up for the immigrants, and then the immigrants were taking it over from there. Or the politicians themselves had a kickback and then just had the Somalians working at the daycares. That seems more reasonable to than to say, oh, the Somalians, they found this loophole, created these daycares, and then they found that if they kept funneling money to the politicians, it would be a circle. Although I could understand how you would see that. I think the more likely thing that happened was the politicians sat there and said, how can we get this money that we're supposed to be funding daycares with? Oh, what? We can get Somalians, these immigrants that just came over to this country that have absolutely nothing to do our bidding? Okay, let's do that. And then I think that's actually how the circle prevailed. And that little bit of information really puts Somalians in more of this victim state and more of the the people working for the government more in this pimp state where they should actually be facing more backlash for this than the Somalians.
A fraudulent operation from start to finish.
It certainly does, and you can understand the frustration, and I'm curious that if there was even knowledge about this, how this wouldn't rise to the level of action at some point across the years that you were talking about. I wanted to ask you about the political aspect of this as well, because you had the State House Speaker and Senate President, both Democrats. They've said that the fraud allegations have to be taken seriously, but that any investigation needs to be grounded in evidence, clear standards, due process, not politics.
Yeah, it's convenient that they didn't actually knock it down any doors to get the evidence.
Buying time. Remember, who was supposed to be Vice President of America? It was supposed to be Tim Walz. And now we're learning a little bit more about why he was the best choice, why he was nominated to be the vice president. Why?
What do you mean?
Because he's the king of fraud
He didn't,
over there in Minnesota.
it wasn't because he
and with
wanted to
him
put
in
tampons in
charge
bathrooms?
Of the country in some respect.
I thought that's why he was the
going
best.
to be able to squash these investigations? Who do you think was going to be able to enable more fraud throughout our country? Who do you think it was who was going to put a lid on all this stuff so that the American people never found out?
The Democratic governor, Janet Mills, for the potential fraud going unchecked.
So crazy.
How do you view her handling of the investigation? Do you believe there is intention on the Democratic side to get to the bottom of this and to work in unity with your side?
You know, we're harping on the fact that fraud's going on and Minnesota's doing it, but I want to harp on the fact that our entire country, every single politician is doing fraud in one form or another. And the fact that the media is pushing all of this on Tim Walz and everything like that, Minnesota, Maine, all of that is because Donald Trump is pushing that button on them. Whereas if they were in power, they'd probably be pushing a different button on Donald Trump, the same way the Democrats did when they hit him with 36 counts of bullshit charges up in New York City.
Something done here.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is political warfare.
Pathetic, really.
They're all doing
to
fraud,
start
but this is
making
political
comments
warfare.
like that now, when last winter in a floor speech, I brought this all to light in front of everybody, spoke to the speaker, spoke to the
just
podium.
when you think
said,
it's
"Help
only
me,"
two
when
states.
we were in the middle of a big budget battle where we were calling for something to be done about this fraud, for some fiscal responsibility. I said, Mr. Speaker, we can get it done. I have this letter with these questions that I've sent to the governor's office that we need answers to. Help me. I'll give you the letter. I gave him the letter. I gave it to all the Maine media.
This is just incredible. We're looking at an industrialized scam that has taken over our entire country. The people running this stuff, these folks are the real deal. They know how to get money out of the government. They know how to keep getting that money, and they know
They
how
were
to make
taught
these
how
companies
to.
and set up these
By
businesses.
the politicians
It's
in the government.
probably happening
That's my opinion.
in every single state that's out there. These schemes are not a secret anymore. And the more of them that get uncovered, the more of them we're going to find. Even if they all get shut down in Maine, these scammers could run off to another state, open another scam company, and start the same thing. It's because the federal government can't be trusted to administer and dole out the money of the American people. That's what we're learning here. We can't trust the federal government, whether it's Trump's government, Biden's government, doesn't matter. We can't trust them because they do not have the ability to audit these programs. They do not have the ability to stop these
No, they
schemes.
do.
They don't have the ability to look at each
don't want
state.
to.
Because remember, it's the state's jobs to spend the federal government's money. You might have one state like Florida that does it one way, and another state like
Look,
California
I
that
could
does
tell
it
you very
completely.
easily how you could audit this. So, see, what would happen is all you would do is you create a program, and when you send the check out to the daycare or whatever, you'd have a checklist of information that they need to send back. And if they don't send the information back in order for the audit to complete, they wouldn't receive the funding the next week. This is very easy to audit.
A different way. There's zero accountability. Nobody's going to jail. I think that the more we learn about this, the worse it's going to get. What do you think? I'll see you in the next video.